SMT is key for the distribution phase up higher. Right, so over here we've got AUD JPY, so that's an Asian session pair, right? We're on the daily chart over here, mapping out where should we go and where's most likely to go. And we've got our discount and premium levels, right? We've got our range low and our range high over here. You can see this range gets purged, right? And we have SMT formed on these lows. So that's a high probability smart money reversal. But what do you see in this candle formation, right? What is important over here? Right, we close inside of this candle's range. So this candle is important, right? After we rate that sell side liquidity with SMT, right, we can see this candle is closing inside of the range of candle number one. This is very important. So we can focus on the third and fourth candle expanding up higher and targeting that range high, which has buy stops above it. Right, so over here we've got a 4-hour chart, right? And just to show you guys how the 4-hour candle opens up and where it should trade towards after we have that higher time frame narrative, right, and that liquidity purge and the manipulation phase. So we hit a higher time frame key level, right, with this 4-hour candle, and we can see that the 9 p.m. candle trades up higher into the drawn liquidity, which should be higher. So same thing over here, right? We've got the 9 a.m. candle opening. We can see it making a lower wick into a key level, which is this order block, and then it's expanding up higher towards that range high, which has buy stops above it. And over here, the 9 p.m. candle, same occasion, very close to buy side liquidity already, and it finishes off this move. So now let's talk about ICT Silver Bullet, and we're going to be removing the veil. Why does he pick these specific times, right? Now we know these are new 4-hour candle openings, right? 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Both ICT's Silver Bullet window. Right, so over here we've got a crude depiction of some candlesticks, right? But what is important is how these candlesticks form, right? We're going to be focusing on that 10 a.m. because it's index futures, right? That is the ICT's Silver Bullet window. Now what happens prior to that 10 a.m. candle is key. We want to see that 8 a.m. candle low rated by the 9 a.m. candle. And what is also key, we want to see that 9 a.m. candle close inside the range of the 8 a.m. candle, so we can target that 8 a.m. candle's high by trading and finding an entry on the 10 a.m. candle, which is over here, right? We want to see that power of 3, right? Making a lower wick, manipulating, and then distributing up higher. And the same thing for a bearish scenario, right? We're going to be focusing on that 10 a.m. ICT Silver Bullet. But what happens prior is important. We want to see that 8 a.m. candle's high rated by the 9 a.m. candle, and then the 9 a.m. candle needs to close inside of this range. And then we know we can trade the power of 3 of the 10 a.m. candle, making a manipulation phase higher, hitting either a PD array of some sort and then trading down lower. Now for the PM session, right, the 2 p.m. candle, we want to be rating that 1 p.m. candle's low, and then important, we want to close inside of this one, right? We want to close inside of this candle, so we know we have that swing formation, and then the 3 p.m. and then the 3 p.m. candle should be a manipulation lower, but respecting this low, right? And then the distribution phase should happen upwards. Now for a bearish example, right, we want to have that 1 p.m. candle's high rated by the 2 p.m. candle, and importantly, 2 p.m. candle needs to close inside of the 1 p.m. candle, and then we can trade the 3 p.m. candles power of 3, right, manipulation higher, and then a distribution down lower. So over here we've got a Nasdaq 1-hour chart, and we're going to be focusing on that swing point, right? We can see it already over here. We want to map out the 8 a.m. candle range. We can see the 8 a.m. candle over here, buy side above it, sell side below it. So always think about order pairing as well and how those swing points form. We've got a 8 a.m. candle low rate by the 9 a.m. candle. And what is important, right? We want to see that candle close inside of the first candle over here, the 8 a.m. candle. And then 10 a.m. is the Silver Bullet window, right? And we want to see an expansion higher, respecting the 9 a.m. low, and then rating the 8 a.m. candle high. So if you zoom in a little bit more, right, we've got this 60-minute chart, right, the 1-hour chart of Nasdaq. We can see price action over here dipping in the fair value gap CE, which is the 50% level of that fair value gap. So let's outline the range we're trading with, right? We've got the range high up here, and then this range low gets purged, right? So what timing do we get over here? So over here we can outline this candle's range low, right? And the candle range high. So we know we want to be taking out that candle's range low first, which is the 8 a.m. candle low, right? So the ICT silver bullet is the 10 a.m. candle. We can see the 9 a.m. candle taking out the 8 a.m. candle low in a higher time frame key level, which is this fair value gap CE, right? And closure inside of this range is very important. So now when the 10 a.m. candle opens up, which is the ICT silver bullet window, we can look for a trade opportunity targeting that range high, which is up here. So how does that look like if we zoom in on the lower time frame? Over here we've got a 5-minute chart, right? Again, 8 a.m. low needs to get rated and then close inside of the range. And we can actually see the 9 a.m. candle rates the low into that key level, right? That fair value gap CE, which is the 50% level of that fair value gap. We can see because of that rate, there is a high probability order block formed over here, right? And then we want to either trade this candle here, which is not the 10 a.m. candle yet, because we want to be focusing on the 10 a.m. candle. And we can actually see this is the second stage distribution, right? So 10 a.m. candle opens up and then forms a fair value gap, and then we can take entry on that fair value gap, and then it takes out the range high because we know the range low has been rated already. So we want to be pairing up those sell stops with the buy stops resting above it. Right, another example over here, we've got the ES chart. This is a 1-hour chart, and we can focus on that 10 a.m. candle, right? The ICT silver bullet time window. We've got candle number 1, the high gets rated, right? This is the 8 a.m. candle, rated by the 9 a.m. candle. Then price closes inside of this candle, so we now know we want to target this candle's range low, and this is the focus, right? This expansion down lower. Same thing down here. We've got that 8 a.m. candle, right, gets rated by the 9 a.m. candle, and again, important, we want to be closing inside of this first candle's range. Then we know we can target that candle's low, and that is the 10 a.m. ICT silver bullet time window, so we're going to be focusing on this candle's expansion. So if you take the opening price, right, where do we want to go? We want to manipulate up higher, right, and then go down lower and distributing. And that's just like the same thing over here. We want to open up, make a higher wick, and then continue down lower. So if we zoom in, we've got a 1-minute chart actually over here, the ES 1-minute chart. Buy stops rated, right, over here, that 8 a.m. candle taken out by the 9 a.m. candle, then closed inside. And then once the 10 a.m. candle opens up, which is over here, right, trade up a little bit higher, then forming a fair value gap and breaking structure. And again, higher time frame SMT coupled up with lower time frame SMT is key and very powerful. So we can see actually the SMT form here. And now we know after we take out the buy stops, think about order pairing, right? We want to pair up the buy stops with the sell stops resting below it. And this fair value gap is the opportunity in the ICT silver bullet window, the 10 a.m. candle. So here another example, right? The ES 1-minute chart. After we run 8 a.m. candles high, right, we see the buy stops taken out, and then closure inside is key, right? Then price breaks down lower and lower and lower, forming a high probability order block over here. 10 a.m. opens up, trades into the order block still, and then trades down lower, forming a fair value gap. So there's another opportunity to get in, and then targeting those sell stops on the range low, right? Again, order pairing, accumulating those buy stops and pairing them up with the sell stops down here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Forex New York candles, right? Normally we want to be focusing on that 7, 8, and 9 a.m. But if there is high impact news, the timing moves up a little bit. So we're going to be focusing on the 6, 7, and 8 a.m. candle because we want to see that distribution happen with the news release, right? And the same thing for a bearish scenario. We can have a 7, 8, and 9 a.m. candle formation. But if there is high impact news at, let's say, 8:30, we want to be focusing on the 6, 7, and then the 8 a.m. candle being the distribution candle. So again, always with the swing formation, we want to close inside of the range, right? As you can see over here. And then the third candle should be a distribution. And for Forex London, right, we're going to be using the 1 a.m. low getting rated by the 2 a.m. candle, and the 2 a.m. candle needs to close inside of the range, so we can trade the 3 a.m. candle, which can be a distribution up higher in this occasion. And for a bearish example, right, London session, we want to see that 1 a.m. candle high rated by the 2 a.m. candle. 2 a.m. candle has to close inside of the range, right? So now we know we can trade the distribution phase of the 3 a.m. candle. And think about it, we want to have SMT on this highs as well, right? Making it a higher probability, and the candle needs to close inside of the range. So let's go over a example. Over here, we've got a range high, right, over here, and we've got a range low. Zoom in a little bit more, range high and range low. We can actually see this range low gets rated, right? We can see the 1 a.m. candle gets rated by the 2 a.m. candle. Then, importantly, we close inside of the range, right? And then the 3 a.m. candle, which is the ICT silver bullet candle, makes a lower wick and then continues distributing up higher based on what this 1 a.m. candle provided with us, right? 1 a.m., 2 a.m. rate into closure inside of the range. So we know we need to target this range high and eventually this range high up here. So how does that look like? If we zoom in a little bit more, where do we catch an entry? So this is the GBP CAT 5-minute chart, right? And think about what we want to see with that 4-hour candle, right? We want to either see a higher time frame key level hit or a previous session low or a previous 4-hour candle low, and then we're going to trade the distribution up higher. So over here we can see if we map out New York midnight opening price, right, we want to be a buyer below it. Ideally, we can see this is candle number 1, right, a 1 a.m. candle. Then the 2 a.m. candle rates the low and then closes inside of the range. We're leaving a fair value gap behind after we take out Asia session low, right? So the step-by-step approach is working out over here, right? Then price distributes up higher and taking out those buy stops over here after hitting that fair value gap, and then the 3 a.m. candle, right, the ICT silver bullet, goes towards that range high over here.